Mike Sapraicone thinks 15 years in Washington is long enough for Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. He wants her seat and is campaigning hard to get it. Why do you think she doesn't deserve to get reelected?
Well, I think, Marcia, she's kind of missing in action. As I travel these 62 counties, people say to me, so who are you running against? And that guy Chuck? And I say, no, the other senator. Well, who is he? Who is she? You know, people don't really seem to know. They know her name once they hear her name, but she hasn't been out there. She hasn't been out there with the people. They haven't seen her. They look at her that she stops here and there once or twice in the course of the 15 years. When I talk to elected officials on both sides of the aisles, they say, we've never seen her. We've never seen her in Endicott or this city or that city or this county.
So what's the best way to get that message out to people in New York that they shouldn't just, you know, pull the lever for a Democrat because this is a very Democratic state?
I think it's important to talk to people. I love to talk, and we could talk here for 3 hours, okay? So I think it's important to get your message out, to meet people, to mingle with people, to get to talk to people and to listen to people and hear what they have to say. I mean, I'm a cop, I'm a retired detective, and I look at a basic thing. If you were to put my opponent in a lineup, most people can't even pick her out of that lineup.
So let me ask you this. I know there's a lot of issues that people care about, and I know one of the big concerns is what's going on in the Middle East. What do you think should happen if you were elected to the Senate? What would your position be on what should happen in the Middle East? And would you support the United States supporting Israel's bombing of Iran?
I would. I would certainly support it. They're our strongest ally. But I think it's very important. I went there a month ago because I don't think it's fair that you, as an elected official or trying to be an elected official, you should talk about things you don't understand or don't know about. So I spent 4 days in Israel.
And what was your thought after spending time there?
It was tremendously enlightening. There were things I saw that I didn't even understand or realize. I mean, I was down at the Gaza border. I saw the kibbutz. I stood in places that were taken and bombed and people terrorized. I visited the Nova Festival, and and I'm a homicide detective. What a terrible sight, you know, with over 350 people were killed and massacred. I went up to the northern border, and I haven't worn a bulletproof vest or a helmet in many, many years. Went to the northern border, and they told us, you're going to hear a siren, but when you hear that, it's probably too late because the missiles have hit. We're right across from Lebanon, and you could see Lebanon. So we went with an armored car. We went with the head of the regional police and the head of the IDF up there. And this was a city of 26,000 people that were now down to 3,000 people. Everybody else had been moved down south. And it was a very quiet morning, and they were very, wow, this is a good morning. You hear it's quiet. There's no real bombings. We saw the shrapnel. We're able to see the burnt-out homes.
So would you support Israel bombing Iran in order to end, do you think, I mean, are you looking for a ceasefire in Gaza? Are you looking for a ceasefire in the Middle East, or do you think there should be more war, more bombing, especially Iran?
Well, no one wants to see more war. No one wants to see more bombing. But Hamas broke the ceasefire back on October 7th of last year. I think it's important that we allow Israel to do what they need to do, because Israel is fighting not just for Israel, they're fighting for us. Who do you think the next targets are? And when we talk about the border, you'll see this could be us. This very easily could be us in the very near future.
So when it's all over, do you think there should be a two-state solution, or what should happen?
I think it's something we should look at and make sure it's done the correct way. If it's not done the correct way, it's not worth doing it.
So New York City has been hit with a corruption scandal. The mayor has been indicted. I wonder if you think it's time for him to resign.
We still live in a democracy. I think he needs to be. I think we need to go through the process. I think if he's hurting the city and can't get his job done, then he should step down. But I think we need to let the system play out.
Are we at that point where he needs to resign, or do you think he can still manage the day-to-day operations of the city, keep people safe?
I think he can still keep people safe with the police commissioner and everybody else. I think he needs to get his due process. But I think once he can't do it anymore, he needs to step away.
There are some people who think that in government in Washington there should be term limits. The president is talking about term limits for the Supreme Court, and some people have talked about term limits for the House and the Senate. What's your position on that?
Well, I think certainly for the House and the Senate there should be term limits. I mean, I look at some politicians who have been around for 50 years. I don't think our founding fathers meant that we should have politicians who have been around forever. It's meant for people to come in with new ideas and fresh ideas. I would say 2 terms for the United States Senate.
That would be 12 years.
12 years. I would say 3 terms for the United States Congress, 6 years.
Really? Only 6 years?
I think 6 years is plenty. I think that's fine. I think in that position, you have more House of Representatives. I think that should be a bigger turnover. I think there should be more opportunity there because you're governing more of a local thing, your district. Supreme Court, I think the purpose of having the Supreme Court not have term limits is, I look at politicians and people trying to be politicians, and you're pandering to your base and everything else. The purpose of the Supreme Court, and I think why we did it as a lifelong position, they shouldn't have to be running for positions.
But when they first did it, the lifespan of the average American at the time was like, 40 years. It wasn't 80 years.
Is it 80 now?
I mean, it's something like that. There are some people who are in their 70s and 80s on the court.
Right.
But here's the question. The president's proposal is to add more people to the Supreme Court and have people retire at a certain age. Would you accept that?
I don't know if I'd accept it. I'd have to look at it a little bit more. I think, my opponent said something like she would not be so opposed to putting 12 people on the Supreme Court. But you're a person who's been a senator for 15 years. I was a school board representative. You need an odd number of people. Okay, for instance, why do we have the Vice President of the United States is now the President of the Senate, so he or she could cast that deciding vote? Well, if we have 12 people on the Supreme Court, who's going to cast that deciding vote? So we need an odd number of people, and I don't think there should be a term limit to it.
And how do you feel about abortion? Would you support a national ban on abortion?
I would not.
Why not?
I don't think that ever should be. A woman should have her right to do it. I think it should be back in the states where it is now. I don't necessarily agree with New York's. I think it's a little too liberal here in New York State, but it's the law. And I think we should realize it's over 50 years ago was under a Republican governor and a Republican legislation that we put that in effect and made abortion legal here in New York.
So if you get elected, what would you do about Social Security? The Social Security Trust Fund is about to expire in 2036. There are reports that if only 70% of the money would be collected, so would you support cutting benefits by 23% or increasing taxes so that you could give people their benefits?
Tough question, but I'm eligible for Social Security, and you talked about the life expectancy now so much higher. I haven't taken my benefits yet. I think it's important to support Social Security, and we should be able to get our seniors as much benefits as we can.
So you'd increase taxes?
I don't think I would want to increase taxes. First of all, I don't think that's the way to do it.
So how do you make sure people get the benefits they're getting now?
I think we need to cut some fat other places. And I think we need to look at that and where we spend some of our money that might be better resourced in other places. And I think that's important. I can't say that if we increase taxes, that'll make it better, because that'll just hurt the economy more. So I think we need to look at a plan, put a plan in effect, and make it better for our seniors and still make taxes reasonable for us.
What about Medicare?
I'm on Medicare now, too. And it's very difficult to understand. But I think Medicare should stay. I think it should be. I don't think we should have socialized medicine. I think it's important to have Medicare.
But also that the Medicaid funds are expiring as well.
Well, I think we need, again, just like SALT is expiring also, I think we need to look at those rules. I think a problem I have with Medicare, being on Medicare, there's a lot of conflict and a lot of confusion on who really gets Medicare, who's getting double benefits. Okay. It's a disaster to try, once you turn a certain age and you retire, to be able to figure out who's really got your coverage. And when you call, you get no satisfaction whatsoever. And God forbid you try to go there and wait online for 6 hours. So we need to look at the process.
Mike Sapraicone, thank you very much for being here. We're going to have to leave it right there for now. But our conversation continues right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. We're back with another bonus conversation with Mike Sapraicone. So you were a transit police officer. I wonder, what made you join the police force?
Oh, it's like it's a calling. But back when in the 70s, I took every test you could, because my parents would always say, why don't you be a civil servant? It's a good job. There's good benefits. The pay is good. That's what you should do. So when I came out of high school, I started taking every civil service test there was.
Do you think life in law enforcement these days is harder than when you joined the police department?
You know, when I joined, the old timers would say, hey, kid, you don't know what you're missing, okay? But when I retired and 20 years later, I would say, hey, kid, you don't know what you're missing. It's relative. You know, it's a great job. It still is a great job, but it's a calling.
So are you more of a summer guy or a winter guy?
I like the summer.
Because?
I like warm rather than cold.
What's one thing that always makes you laugh?
My family.
Your family makes you laugh?
If you don't laugh, you'll cry.
You have 5 kids, right?
5 children, 5 grandchildren, yes. And they make me laugh. I mean, I love to watch I love to watch comedies on TV, but I love to talk to my kids and laugh.
Would you rather fly or drive on a road trip?
Fly.
Why?
I don't like to drive. As I get older, it's hard to see at night.
Do you play any sports?
I played many sports.
So, what are they?
Played high school football, high school baseball. I love baseball. I love football. I don't participate anymore. It's a little harder on the knees. I like golf. Golf is relaxing to me.
So you have a favorite team?
Oh, the Mets.
Go Mets!
The Mets. And what a great game again last night. I can't wait. I can't wait to see how.
You're predicting they go all the way?
All the way. I'm looking for a good Subway Series again. It's been a long time since we saw that.
So where did you meet your wife?
I met her on a case. She was an ADA, a prosecutor in Queens, and I had a homicide of an arranged marriage homicide that led me from New York City to London, England.
It was an arranged marriage, and then you arranged a marriage.
It might very well play out to be that. That was over 20 years ago, yes.
So if you could go back in time and change any one thing in your life, what would you change, if anything?
I've had a pretty good run. I don't think I would change very much. I'm very, very satisfied with my life. I've been blessed, and I enjoy everything I do. I really do enjoy things. I'm having a great time doing this. It's nice to sit here and talk with you. I'm meeting people that I never would have met before. I'm having fun. I don't have a lot of regrets in my life.
So talking about fun, do you have a favorite ice cream flavor?
I'm a like chocolate chip guy.
You're a chocolate chip guy.
I like chocolate chip. A good mint chocolate chip isn't bad.
Mint chocolate chip.
I could take that.
Okay, good. What makes Oyster Bay a great place to live?
Oh, it's just a great community, and the Bay itself, okay, and the Oyster Fest, I think, coming up next weekend or so. Oyster Bay is a great place. I had a lot of fun living there.
So to get serious for one last moment, what are the 3 top reasons why people should vote for you?
Because I care, because I'm invested in this city, in this state, in this country, and because I think we need common sense again, and we need a change. And one-party system is not working for us here in New York. And I think it's important that we step up and work together as a team and work with both sides. I'm excited about this, and I think when people talk to me, they realize it resonates with them that I'm the right candidate.
Mike Sapraicone, thank you for joining me. And again, thank you at home for joining us as well.
Thank you for having me.